Have you ever had an argument with somebody and walked away feeling like, how do they not know what an idiot they are?
Yeah, all the time. Unfortunately, the last time I had it, it was with me.
Let's find out more about that.
But first, this is the Fit Mess, where together we learn to develop habits that help us live beyond our mental health struggles to create happier, healthier lives.
He's Zach. He lives in the future with his anxiety.
He's Jeremy, and he lives in the past with his depression. And we get together once a week in the present to share the obstacles we face and how we overcome them. So I was asked the other day what the difference is between vegan and vegetarianism.
Oh, yeah? How'd that go?
It went really well. Surprisingly, I was able to spit it out and be like, no animal products at all for vegans. And vegetarianism is just like no meat. So like you can still have eggs and things like that.
Honey and stuff like that.
But then I got the follow-up question of, well, can you use animal-based products like, leather shoes and things like that? And I was like, of course. And they're like, well, a true vegan probably wouldn't do that. Now, would they? And I was like, now, a true vegan, if they were not eating animal products because of the ethical reasons of it, you're right.
Right.
I'm doing it for a very selfish reason because my cholesterol goes through the roof if I'm not eating vegan. So I have to eat vegan to protect myself. So very, very selfish. But I was able to answer all of these questions on what is a vegan, and like the different types of vegans, right? The people who are self-preserving and the people who are doing it for ethical reasons. And then I was able to also answer the vegetarianism one too, because I eat mostly vegan. However, I will eat fish and chicken and pork on occasion, but no red meat, no dairy, like no eggs or anything like that, just because I have to like watch the cholesterol. But I was actually pretty impressed with the fact that I was able to answer the question of what that was.
That is impressive, and I can hear the carnivores in the audience going, but what about protein, bro? Where are you getting your protein?
Yeah, that is a big struggle
tricky,
for me.
Right?
It is really hard because like I work out pretty hard.
A ton, yeah.
And like I have to get it all from like pea protein and things like that, because even like the whey protein, like even if I went with like protein smoothies and things like that, that has like so much saturated fat and cholesterol in it that it impacts my numbers.
Right.
So I have to get really creative with it. So, and I have been reading a ton of articles on how like meat protein is higher quality than other types of protein out there.
Sure.
Now, I've also been reading a whole bunch of articles on how dairy is really good for you and how processed foods are really good for you and things like that. And then you take a look back at like human history and like there's a reason why 90% of the population of Asia is lactose intolerant, because they've never eaten dairy in the history of their people. Mm-hmm. So like things like dairy there were marketing campaigns to tell us that dairy is good for you. I was having a conversation with my girlfriend's son the other day. He's like, no, milk is good for you, isn't it? There were so many marketing campaigns. I saw one the other day from the 80s of kids sitting at a kitchen table complaining about drinking their milk. Mm-hmm. And they didn't want to drink their milk, and the mom like looked outside and she's like, well, your dad doesn't drink milk, and dad was outside with a lawnmower and his arms fell off on the lawnmower. She's like, and then the kids were just like drinking, like you're just chugging the milk down. Like there's literally all of these marketing campaigns that are out there that convince people. They do studies, they do research papers. It looks really accurate. It looks really real to tell you things like milk is good for you. You get enough calcium, and if you're eating a good diet, you get enough calcium. You don't need milk for that. Right. Like the human body doesn't actually react very well to dairy products. Like scientifically, we are adapting to it and we think it's okay. But like, again, most of Asia, lactose intolerant for a reason. They've never had it.
Yeah.
Who lives the longest on this planet?
Not us.
No, seriously. Who does?
I don't know.
It's populations in Asia who don't eat dairy, who eat mostly plant diets and very minimal meat, no processed foods. So like it is scary how, and I don't know what the answer is. I don't know if meat protein is actually better than other sources of protein. However, I know that if I eat enough other sources of protein, I still feel good, and I'm okay. So I can't tell you if that's a marketing campaign.
Sure.
I can't for, like the meat industry, but holy shit, like you can't even like peel back the curtain and figure out what the truth is on all this stuff. It is clearly a marketing campaign that we've been fed that, this is good for you. This is good for you. That's bad for you. That's bad for you. This is better than this thing. That's better than this thing. But like, who knows the truth? How do you figure out the truth?
Well, I mean, to me, the answer is you try it and pay attention to what happens, right? But the thing on the dairy topic for just a minute, just side tangent, I cannot tell you how many times in my life I have either seen someone drinking a glass of milk or because I literally can't even think about drinking a glass of milk. It grosses me out. But I cannot avoid the thought of who was the first person to look at a cow and to see milk and go, looks good. Like, what other animal on the planet consumes the milk of another animal? It's only people. People are the only ones doing this. And I cannot, it must have been, why would you even milk the cow? Like, I don't understand, maybe this is common knowledge for other people and I'm just an idiot. But I cannot put myself in the shoes of the person that one day saw that milk was coming from a cow and went, I wonder what that tastes like.
Well, let's take it a step further. Who was the super bored person who figured out you could take that same milk and churn it into butter?
Right.
I mean, seriously, hours of churning.
Yeah.
Churning.
Let's get this nice and moldy. I bet it's delicious.
Yeah, exactly.
How did that happen? I don't know. I probably don't want to know. It's probably disgusting.
Well, probably like the rest of human history, an accident. It was all an accident. Like penicillin
I don't know.
was an accident.
Right.
Literally, the dude had a whole bunch of petri dishes, and he went away on vacation for a week and came back, and nothing had grown, and figured out that like some penicillin flew in from the window and landed on it.
Right.
Like, we literally have antibiotics because somebody went on vacation and didn't cover their shit up.
Dumb luck.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I think, to try to, clumsily and lazily answer your question, you eat it and see how you feel, right? Like, I've been a vegetarian for most of my life, but I rely heavily on dairy for a lot of the protein that comes from cheese and things like that. And a lot of my calories come from that. I coincidentally have gone the other way, where I've started introducing fish back into my diet. Occasional other meats, like if I'm at a party and there's, hors d'oeuvres of some kind of meat, I'm going to eat them, right? Because they're out. It's going to get thrown away if somebody doesn't. So I've loosened my restrictions on what I'm eating. But part of that has also led to me being a little too loosey-goosey with the calories and kind of feeling like, I don't know if this is... I was actually listening back to one of our recent shows where I was like, hey, I'm just sort of eating when I feel like it now and eating what I feel like. And I just got curious about, what does that equate to? Right? I wasn't doing the math. I was just sort of living it. And it was too much. And so I've had to put some guards in place and start tracking things again.
Well,
because I do have goals.
5,000 calories a day is too much.
As it turns out, I mean, who knew, right? If only there was some study or some posts on social media about how much to eat, that would be really helpful, right? If somebody could get on that, that'd be really beneficial for me.
Right.
But it is so interesting how when you do pay close attention to what you're eating and how you feel as a result, you can make better progress on whatever you're trying to do, whether it's becoming vegetarian, becoming vegan, trying to cut calories. If you're not paying attention, you're just drifting and you're not going to get there. Especially vegan, right? Like anyone who's never tried to go vegan, I recommend you not do it unless you absolutely have to, because a vegan diet is easier now than it was when I did it 20 years ago. But there's meat products in fucking everything.
Oh, yeah.
It is so hard to live that lifestyle on a day-to-day basis for a long period of time.
Oh, yeah. No, I find it, again, like, I'm not doing it for ethical reasons. I'm doing it to manage, cholesterol, because, my cholesterol was so high that the doctor was like, I need you on statins now. And I was like, nope. Let me see if I can dial this down myself. And I am taking a whole, it's not just the vegan diet though. Like, it's not just that. Like, I am taking a whole bunch of supplements that help with it as well. This just brings me like full circle back to all these conversations that you and I have around, what if I'm wrong? What if this thing that I have believed since I was a child is wrong? And I've been living my life, assuming that this is right. I feel like I'm a little conspiracy theory here. However, I don't think I'm too far off in left field, but I work with marketing people. Like, their brains are literally wired to get you to believe something that makes you consume their product.
Yeah.
Period. Whether it's true or not. Right? The tobacco companies, they knew cigarettes cause cancer for years and years and years and years. And even to this day, there's still advertisements, right? They're limited in what they can do, but they're trying to get people to smoke. So it just brings me back to whether you're vegan, carnivore, whatever you believe, it's this whole thing of how do you know what to believe? Like, we live in a day and age where we have access to all the informations, all of it. Right
and wrong. We have access to all of it.
Exactly. And you've seen that quote, don't believe everything you see on the internet, Abraham Lincoln.
Right.
How do you tear all that stuff apart? It's just, in our children, my daughter was like, well, I saw it on the internet, so it must be true. How do you pull this stuff apart? And some of it, again, this vegan meat protein versus pea protein versus all this stuff. I don't know. And I'll freely admit, I don't know if meat protein is better than, pea protein. Mm-hmm. I sure know I like a steak a whole lot better than I like pea protein.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Yes. Much tastier.
But we just keep going back to this. What if I'm wrong? It just takes a moment of being open-minded enough to look at both sides and accepting them both as valid and doing proper research and coming up with a conclusion, right? We are all so dead set on these beliefs that we have. I've gotten into arguments with people that believe something that they've believed since childhood, that they just won't give up on.
Right, improperly spelling the Berenstain Bears because they saw it one way as a kid and now it's something else.
Exactly. I literally had an argument with somebody who thought it was still okay to hit your kid.
Oh my God.
That because that was acceptable norms.
My dad beat the shit out of me and I turned out fine.
Yeah, as his head ticks and
everything's been fine since I got out of prison.
Exactly.
But here's the thing with this, right? And I think that there is such an emphasis culturally on picking a side. No one lobbies for the middle anymore. Here's an idea. What if you have meat protein and pea protein, right? Maybe less of the meat if it's screwing up your cholesterol. That's where it is individual. If you eat this and it fucks you up, stop eating it, right? Or eat less of it. Eat it once in a while. I just can't help think of, again, when I traveled to Europe, I was so curious about the lifestyle, the longevity of people that live in the places that I was in, because everyone seemed healthy, happy, chill, relaxed. Mm-hmm. I didn't see anybody entering their calories in their Fitbit app, right? I saw them smoking outside, eating pasta, and then meandering lazily through the city, super chill, and living to be over 80 years old. And I was like, They're not freaking out. You know what? You know why they're living long? They're not freaking out about every decision and which team to be on when it comes to what I should put in my face every day. To me, I think the killer is the stress that we put on picking a side and then having to stick to that side. Because if you pick Team Carnivore, if anyone sees you eating a piece of lettuce, you're fucking dead. You pick vegetarian and you have a piece of chicken on a cracker, you're roasted. You're done. You're out of the club.
Yeah.
It's what if you just what if it's okay to just have a little bit of all of it and have balance? Everything that when you see these arguments, it always results in maybe we can meet in the middle, because in the middle is the truth. Yeah. It's okay to have a little bit of processed food. It's not going to kill you. Don't eat it all day, every day for everything. It's okay to have a couple glasses of wine, unless you have a very serious alcoholism problem. Don't have a couple glasses of wine. But if you can just temper your shit and not go all in on one thing or another, I think you'll find that your stress comes down and all of a sudden you feel a lot better and you're not dealing with a lot of the problems that you're dealing with to begin with.
Yep, absolutely. Just I would be just as happy driving a Ford as I would be a Chevy. And I know there's people out there that are going to tell me I'm wrong both ways.
Oh, I'm never driving a Chevy. Fuck those. No, I'm just kidding. I will tell you this, though. If you start singing about your truck, I'm out. I'm not listening to that. That is a team I'm fervently against. I'm not going to listen to the song where you sing about your truck.
And how it did me wrong?
That's right.
That's it. I'm going to come up with a song on how my truck did me wrong. It won't take me long.
I'm going to put a beat to that later. Oh, man. No, seriously, quick tangent. My kids were listening to some song the other day, and it was like a hip-hop song, but the lyrics were fully country. I'm out.
I heard that. It was...
Yeah.
No, I heard the reverse. It was an old hip-hop song that they took to country.
Oh, gotcha. Yep.
Oh,
Yep,
I mean,
I'm out.
I'm not a big country fan. Like, talk about living in the middle. Yeah. There is, on one side there's country, and then on the other side there's everything else.
I'm over there on
fully
the other
on
side
everything else.
I'm on
no
everything
country
else side, right along with you. All right, well, we've offended the country fans. I hope we've offended the vegans, the vegetarians, the carnivores, the drinkers, the non-drinkers, the smokers, the non-smokers.
Chevy and Ford people.
Anybody else we've pissed off here? That might be enough for today.
Yeah, it's probably. The people who beat their kids and not beat their kids.
Kid beaters, the prisoners, the ex-prisoners, the current prisoners.
Yep.
Yeah, I think we checked the boxes. I think we did a good job here today.
Yeah, I mean, how to not grow your show.
How to not make friends and influence all of your enemies.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's enough for us. Thank you so much for listening. I hope that the conclusion you draw from this is that whatever the thing is that you're freaking out about and all in on, you're probably wrong a little bit, and that's okay. That means there's room to grow. So get out there and grow a little bit.
Be comfortable with being wrong.
That's right. I hope this has resonated with you. If you know somebody who's struggling with any of these issues that we've talked about, we've kind of talked about a lot around nutrition and other things, as it turned out. But feel free to share this with anybody who might benefit from it. That will help us accomplish our mission of helping as many people as possible that struggle with the same crap that you and I do. Thanks so much for listening. We'll be back next week at thefitmess.com with a brand new episode.
See you, everyone.
We know this podcast is amazing, and it doesn't seem to lack anything, but we need a legal disclaimer. Prior to implementing anything discussed in this podcast, it is your responsibility to conduct your own research and consult your physician. You should assume that Jeremy and Zach don't know what they're talking about, and they're not liable for any physical or emotional issues that occur directly or indirectly from listening to this podcast.